So we're going to speak about how to make games not only fun to play, but also fun to watch. I'm going to introduce myself, then we're going to introduce a bit the trend, if you don't know it, and then we're going to give a few guidelines on how actually to do games more viewable. So this is me. I'm in the game industry since 2004. I've been through several companies. The one that most of the people know me is Mytopia. I was the general manager of Mytopia before we were acquired. We were acquired in 2010 by 888. I stayed as the COO and Chief Creative, and after that went on to other projects. During my time, I managed to work on original IP as well as IP from DreamWorks, MGA, Endemol, Showtime, and Lionsgate. Also been doing academic stuff, 6 years in Beth-Bell College, and I'm currently a mentor at the IDC game program. Currently, I'm also a producer and game designer at Sidekick. I'm working on an upcoming Rovio title, which is not related to this talk. This talk is based on my experience in the game industry, but mostly on a project I did in 2004 with a friend, Eitan, which is currently in the crowd. We tried to bring more competitive games into mobile, tried to make them more viewable for videos and everything, and ride on the trend of eSports. And a lot of what I'm going to show now is based on what we learned during that period. These are just a few concept art from the game we worked on, which also not going to be shown here. So what are viewable games? As you may know, we're currently in the age of video and streaming. There's two really main big venues where you can actually watch games. Hi, guys. So there's Twitch. Okay, so Twitch is basically the poster boy of the whole trend. Twitch used to be a website. Now it's a service that you can consume on the web, on mobile, on console as well, where you can see other people stream their games, and you can see eSports tournaments live, and now they can, an Oscar coming. And you can see people playing games, and actually you can see tournaments, eSports tournaments live when they happen. Twitch had a TwitchCon, a conference that they just started this year recently, and they also streamed it all over Twitch. YouTube, which has a lot of people that weren't streaming, but had doing videos of Let's Play games, recently also started their own YouTube gaming website, which basically has all the YouTube videos related to gaming, and kind of like now starting to competing. Now, if you're not familiar with eSports, I'm not going to, this is not an introduction to eSports, but I'll just say eSports is not about sports game, it's not particularly FIFA and stuff like that. It's competitive games that people play against each other or in teams. It's more relates to how the game is being played. There's teams, there are competitions, there are fans. It's like a whole thing, and it's huge. So Twitch is really, it's a huge thing. August 2014, it was acquired by Amazon for almost $1 billion. This data is from the end of 2014. Just showed that primetime viewers on Twitch is higher than many other cable networks. So it's a huge, huge, huge phenomenon. It's really massive. So some current statistics. So currently, Twitch has like 100 million unique viewers monthly, 1.8 million monthly broadcasters, and 10 million concurrent viewers in most of the daytime. Okay, these are official data from Twitch. So it's massive. But Twitch is mostly about streaming. They only recently, in the conference, they announced that they will also support video uploads. But until now, you couldn't just make a video and upload it to Twitch. You had to actually stream. As you can see, the purple line represents Twitch viewership. During conferences, during tournaments, the peak is huge. And one of the trends that you can see is that after those huge spikes, the average amount of players and viewers is actually leveling up higher than it was before. So it's a trend that the events only drive bigger. So I'm not going to bore you with a lot of stats on esports. This is not the case, but just to give you some ballpark numbers. So the Newzoo report from a few weeks ago estimates 278 million in revenue in 2015 and estimating 765 million in 2018. And viewers, around 226 million viewers this year watching esports, and it will be reaching 323 million in 2018. But the trend that I'm going to speak about is not limited to esports. It's covering a lot of other games that are not competitive and are not particularly of people against each other. It's including games like Minecraft and others. This is the YouTube gaming popular games that are being watched. This include Agario, Minecraft, GTA, The Sims, The Witcher, Clash of Clans, and other games that are not esports. They're not competitive. They're not being broadcasted real time. With Clash of Clans, which is a huge phenomenon, they're only trying to get it bigger. In a few weeks, actually less than a few weeks, Supercell is doing their first ClashCon in Helsinki, and you can see who the featured guests are, all YouTubers. So it's a mega trend. Okay? So basically, I just introduced you to the trend if you're not familiar with it. But as game developers, I think the basic question is like, why do we care? So there's a trend. People are watching games, video online. What do we do with it? How can we use it? So first, it's a massive discovery channel. It's one of the things that in our industry we tackle the most, and as you can see, most of the service providers in this conference are trying to tackle exactly that. How do I get users to my game? And having a YouTuber showing your game, if it's a big YouTuber, it's massive. It can be massive. I don't know if you know this guy. This is PewDiePie. He has the biggest channel on YouTube. It's like 40 million people subscribe to his video. He has over 9 billion total views on his videos. And he only joined YouTube in 2010. Okay? He makes also 7.4 million a year, but that's good for him. But this guy, you know him, you don't know, but this guy mainly made Flappy Bird the phenomenon it was. He just played it in one of his videos, and that threw it to the top of the charts. And that's not the only case. Recently, before TwitchCon, it was like a month ago, he released a game that he did with another developer called PewDiePie, Legend of the Brofist, where he introduces a lot of his friends from the YouTube scene and everything. Of course, he streamed himself playing the game, and it reached the top charts for paid game. Okay, so just one guy, just doing one video, and look at the impact that it can have. So this is only one reason why you want your games to be on video. But that's not the only reason. So if you want to maintain a long-term interest with players, you need to have games that are fun to watch as well, so people will make videos of. It develops brand loyalty, and this is what keeps you away from competition and clones of exactly the same games. So what type of content is being watched? What type of gaming content is actually being watched? So it's esports tournaments. Those get the most people to view them online. It's matches played by your favorite streamer or tuber. People get to know those people and like their personality and keep watching their video. It's let's play videos, walkthrough, and how-to that people do. Even of like games like Agario, I'm very encouraging you to find this video on YouTube. Mark playing Gario. One of the things that he did it on stream, on Twitch, and streamed it, and in few minutes, a lot of the people that were on his chat just joined the same server, and I don't know if you can see her in the picture, but on those balls, you can see like Mark fan, and all kind of like, Marky Moo, like all his friends just join in just to play with him, all the people that watch him. And games that offer the ability for players to create creative content. If it's like World of Warcraft that you probably saw a lot of videos of music videos created with, if it's Sims, if it's a lot of other videos that allow players to actually create videos of their own creations. So we talked about what being watched, and now let's talk about the type of games that we as an industry do and how it affects the videos. So we have narrative-based games, and if the game has a good narrative, and if the game is visually pleasing, it's a good candidate. The Last of Us and other games are very, very good for let's play videos. People just play them just from the beginning to the end and stream it or record it and put it on YouTube, and a lot of people watch it. The second type is the mechanic-based games, which includes all the eSports and others, like the games that we showed before. So it's competitive games, they allow skill curve, and they provide drama. But you need to remember, a good broadcaster has good enough personality that it can make any game good, okay? It doesn't make your game viewable. It just means that this particular YouTuber or streamer has good enough personality to put it. So if you want to make games that other people make videos of, not just one YouTuber, you actually need to work. And the prime guideline for doing this is we all know that fun games are games that have dramatic moments. So it's still the same. You got to have a game that is a sequence of dramatic moments which create a story, but the drama needs to derive from the player's action from the spectator's point of view. And I'll give an example why this is different. One of the ways that StarCraft is very interesting is because the spectators doesn't have the fog of war. They see the two candidates, and they see exactly what they do, and they know things that the players don't know. Each player in StarCraft can send units to scout for the other player and see what he does, but that's the only information that he gets from units he sends to collect information. Okay? Spectators see the whole board. They see how the two players actually play, and they know stuff that the two players doesn't, and that's where the drama comes from. Okay, so other stuff. So we need to have very simple rules. So we need to have very clear win-lose conditions. We have to understand who the participants are very clearly. Very clear rules, game arena, and the sub-goals for the game. So in a way that if you come and watch football, even if you come in the middle of the match, you basically know the game. It's very easy to get in even in the middle of the game and understand what's going on. You just one look, and you get what the state of the game is. You can add complexity to this by having characters with different abilities, different game arena, time limit, different sub-goals, but these are all additional complexity over the very simple rules. So it basically creates like an easy-to-learn, hard-to-master for players, and it's easy to understand for spectators. So spectators just learning the game, they still know what the players need to do. But as you learn the game more, you can start to be obsessed about other points. Like, did he get to that point faster, or things like that. In mechanical game, it's very, very important to allow skill curves. So the more the player play, he gets better. And for spectators, it's good because then the players, you can see how the players develop their own unique style of gaming. So just to talk about what skill level is. So in most games, we can divide the games into how much player skill you need, how much unit power, and how much luck affect the total outcome. Games that have high player skill, it's games like StarCraft. It's all about how the player play, how skilly is. Unit power is like, what units do you have, like World of Warcraft. If you have like good enough unit, that's what makes your game. And luck, slots, it's like the simple example. Doesn't matter what your unit is or what your skill is. All games have these three in them, but the more you have player skill, the better for viewable games. Okay, so we need to allow long skill curve. Okay, so it allows the players to develop unique and impressive strategies. It's much more fun to watch, and it allows the emergence of the star players that everybody wants to watch. Esports titles aspire specifically to have this endless, if possible. In addition to have very clear rules, we need to have a very clear and pleasing board. So it's pleasing to watch the graphics, it's clear, the view is steady, and we do not confuse spectators with who the players are, who the allies and enemies, player actions, where we are in the arena, who does damage and healing, and if someone created a spell or used a skill, is it a defensive skill, is it an offensive skill? What's happening in the game? So not too many explosions, nothing that obscure the game board too much. And we need to allow uncertainty. Like in many sports, regular sports games, everything can turn at one point. One simple mistake can turn who's winning and who's losing, and we need to allow this in our games. So 100% deterministic games are not very interesting to watch. 100% luck games are completely not interesting to watch. Maybe they are to play. Maybe they're interesting to play, but they're not interesting to watch. But allowing within the rules some luck can make a game very interesting to watch until the end. Okay, but it must be a game changer. It's not something small. It must be able to change who wins and loses. So, game session. We'll talk about that when we'll talk about the different genre. But basically, we got to have games that allow kind of episodic or time-boxed sessions. As you can see here, this is The Walking Dead Season 2 gameplay made by PewDiePie. And as you can see, he creates several videos extending, playing the game. And it's very important because he doesn't do like 4 hours video. People don't watch 4 hours. But if you break it into small pieces, people will watch it. Whoa. Okay. And you need to be community-oriented. Esports creates community around it. The most important thing is to be ready when they come. You don't know if your game is going to hit and there will be a community around them. But if it succeeds, you need to be ready. So I'll go quickly through what creates drama in these games because I don't have a lot of time left. So basically, in narrative-based games, it's been watched as a movie, so you must have a good plot and must be visually pleasing. Examples are The Last of Us and Life is Strange. So the rules that apply the most are sequences of dramatic moments wrapped up players' choices, which means good plot. It got to have like short sessions, save points, and episodes and stuff like that. And the dramatic and the options that the player gets and that the viewer watches needs to be very, very dramatic, like lose A or lose B. These are like two different choices, very meaningful. Mechanic-based games are a bit different. It can be open-ended, progression-based free-to-play games like Clash of Clans and Hearthstone. It can be starting every match starting from the same point again, like StarCraft. Unlike narrative games, every game session is different. It's very tilted towards a players per player or team versus team, very competitive. So the drama generated mostly by players and team competing against each other, usually people that you know. There's a rare goal achieved, like a raid or something. Spectators know something that the players don't know, like the example I gave you with StarCraft. You need to use, but to a limit with cinematic, dramatic technique. For example, Peggle uses a lot of zoom in and slow motions and drums and stuff like that. These are excellent for the players, but if they happen every time, it's tedious for the viewers. So you need to be aware of that. And you must allow some pauses in drama in the game to allow YouTubers or streamers to talk, or if it's an eSport title, you must allow the commentators to actually speak and tell about what's going on in the game and introduce what the players do. And just some tips for eSport specifics. So don't start a game as eSport. Just make a good competitive game. No one knows if it's become an eSport. Professional teams and players are very important to viewers. So just make sure that you allow those personas to be built. Have a very, very long skill curve so they can keep playing and still get better. Battle clarity, all those things I touched. Just remember shoutcasting. For eSport, shoutcasting is a huge part of the eSport experience. So just allow enough pauses in the game for people for the shoutcasters to explain. So those are the rules that we went over. Just one slide for summary. And that's it, basically.
Thank you.
Someone told me at dinner the other night that they think esports betting is going to become bigger than regular sports betting within a couple of years. And I'm wondering, A, what do you think of that? Would you take that bet? Because I didn't. And B, do you think like the creator of the game should add some of those betting elements, like in Counter-Strike they have the trading for in-game items as a result of the game, etc.?
So esports betting is already very big. And I guess it will become bigger as more people watch it. I don't know if the companies that actually make the game needs to do anything involved in this, because this might become a gray area, but it will evolve. I've been in a company doing gambling, so it's maybe a bit of a gray area that you need to think before you enter. I know that fantasy sports betting was just banned just yesterday. Just read about it. Okay.
So one of the things I think is interesting about the difference between esports and YouTubers is asynchronous viewing versus synchronous viewing. I'd like to know what you think in terms of the effect it has on game design. And what I'm particularly thinking is, obviously all of these things about the ability to excite and have pauses for people to reflect apply to both, but what do you think specifically is different between the live experience, the scheduling of play, versus the asynchronous?
So YouTubers, because they record the session and they can edit it, so they can add drama where there isn't, and they also they can allow themselves playing games that are not constantly exciting, because they can cut into different parts. If you watch PewDiePie play, I think Life is Strange, there's a session where he looks for bottles in one of the parts, and it takes him like, I think, 20 minutes, and he cuts it, but he's also very fun to watch because he's getting stressed, like, where are the bottles, where are the bottles? So it's fun, but he had to edit it. In eSport, if you stream it, you can't do this. It's like 20 minutes, everybody watching you looking for bottles. It's like, what's going on? So you're going to lose some crowd. So there is changes that you need to do. There's different type of genres of games that YouTubers can allow themselves to do, and streamers of esports cannot.
But there's a tension, isn't there, with that live event? That fact that you can't edit it means that you're more on edge. But it's also interesting, I think, because of mobile. I mean, obviously, with every play, we're doing sort of that gameplay recording, but what we're seeing is that asynchronous seems to be more effective because the mode of use of a mobile is all about where I am, not necessarily us all scheduling to be together. Does that make sense?
So I think I personally a very firm believer that esports will go to mobile, and it's the perfect. You have camera, you can video yourself and you playing, and everything comes together in one device. Where on PC you have to have like the broadcasting software and everything together. So it's much tighter as a device. I think there's not enough good content right now to allow it. We're getting there, with the Vainglory and all those other games. But I really hope it will get there. It's the perfect place.